When America's Got Talent 2025 began its newest season, audiences expected dazzling acts, heartfelt stories, and that one magical moment that defines the power of the Golden Buzzer. The very first Golden Buzzer of the year belonged to a young woman named Elena Ramirez, a 22-year-old singer from San Antonio, Texas. At first glance, Elena seemed like many other hopeful contestants, nervous smile, trembling hands, and eyes that betrayed both fear and hope. But behind that fragile exterior was a story forged in hardship, resilience, and an unshakable love for music that would eventually captivate millions. Her journey to the AGT stage was anything but easy, and it was precisely that journey that made her performance one of the most unforgettable in the show's history. Elena grew up in a working-class Latino household where music was less of a career aspiration and more of a lifeline. Her father was a mechanic, her mother a hospital nurse who often worked double shifts just to make ends meet. From childhood, Elena was surrounded by the sounds of old Spanish ballads and church choirs, melodies that gave her comfort during times of hardship. When she was only 12, her father passed away in a car accident, a tragedy that shook the family to its core. The loss forced her mother to shoulder the weight of responsibility alone, leaving Elena to take care of her younger siblings. For many teenagers, the dream of chasing stardom would have withered under the pressure of survival. For Elena, however, music became her way of coping with grief. She began singing lullabies to her siblings at night, finding that her voice not only comforted them but also healed parts of her own broken heart. Throughout her teenage years, Elena struggled with balancing school, part-time jobs, and her responsibilities at home. She worked at a local diner, sang in the church choir on weekends, and performed at small community events whenever she could. Her raw talent did not go unnoticed. Local musicians admired her ability to blend the emotional depth of traditional Latin songs with the power of modern soul. But despite encouragement, Elena doubted whether her dream could ever become reality. "I always thought people like me don't get chances like AGT," she later told interviewers. "I thought I'd just keep singing to my family, maybe to my neighborhood, but never the world." When auditions for AGT 2025 were announced in Texas, Elena's younger brother pushed her to sign up. "If you don't at least try, you'll regret it," he told her. With borrowed money for travel and a second-hand dress gifted by her mother, Elena arrived at the audition venue with little more than hope. Her nervousness was visible the moment she walked onto the stage. Judge Simon Cowell immediately asked her why she looked so frightened. Elena answered honestly, "Because this is the biggest dream I've ever had, and I don't want to wake up from it." Her candor drew supportive applause from the audience. The music began, an a cappella rendition of Rise Up by Andra Day, but infused with Spanish phrases and emotional tremors that made it uniquely hers. From the first note, the auditorium fell silent. Her voice carried a depth of pain and resilience that could only come from lived experience. She didn't just sing the song, she told her life story through it. Each note seemed to tremble with memories of loss, sacrifice, and love. By the time she reached the chorus, audience members were visibly in tears. One woman in the crowd clutched her chest as though Elena's voice had touched something deep within her. When the performance ended, there was a long pause. It wasn't the pause of hesitation, but the kind of silence that happens when people are trying to process what they've just experienced. Then the room erupted into a standing ovation. All four judges, Simon Cowell, Sofia Vergara, Heidi Klum, and Howie Mandel, rose to their feet. Sofia, herself of Colombian heritage, wiped away tears as she declared, "You remind me of the strength of our people, of how music carries us through pain." Simon, known for his tough critiques, simply said, "That was not just singing. That was storytelling. That was art." And then came the moment. Howie Mandel leaned forward and said, "Elena, you don't realize this yet, but you're about to change your life." Without another word, he slammed his hand on the golden buzzer. Confetti rained down, the audience screamed, and Elena collapsed to her knees in shock. Her hands covered her mouth as tears streamed down her face. Her siblings, who had been sitting in the audience, rushed forward in joy. The camera captured the moment her mother embraced her, whispering through sobs, "This is your time, Mija." That Golden Buzzer moment didn't just launch Elena into the live shows, it launched her into the hearts of millions watching across the world. Social media exploded within minutes. Clips of her performance went viral on TikTok and Instagram, with hashtags like hashtag Elena AGT and hashtag Golden Buzzer 2025 trending globally. Fans shared their own stories of struggle, saying Elena's voice gave them hope. Music critics praised her ability to merge cultural authenticity with mainstream appeal. Even celebrities like John Legend and Camila Cabello tweeted their admiration. But what truly set Elena apart wasn't just her voice, it was the authenticity behind it. Many AGT contestants deliver technically perfect performances, but Elena's was raw, imperfect in ways that made it real. She cracked on high notes not from lack of skill but from the sheer weight of emotion. She closed her eyes during the hardest parts, not to show off, but to survive the memories they carried. And in that vulnerability, she created a universal connection. People didn't just hear her, they felt her. In the weeks following her Golden Buzzer, media outlets interviewed Elena relentlessly. She remained humble, often redirecting the spotlight back to her family. "This isn't just my dream," she said. "It's my mother's dream, my father's dream, my siblings' dream. Every time I sing, I'm carrying them with me." Such statements endeared her even more to fans, who saw in her not just a performer but a symbol of perseverance. For AGT 2025, Elena's Golden Buzzer performance marked the first of what would become 3 unforgettable moments. But in many ways, hers was the benchmark, the performance that set the tone for the season. It reminded audiences why the Golden Buzzer exists, to recognize not just talent, but courage, truth, and the kind of artistry that leaves the world forever changed. If Elena Ramirez's Golden Buzzer moment was about resilience born from loss, the second Golden Buzzer of AGT 2025 was about rewriting the limits of human possibility. His name was Daniel "Danny" Carter, a 27-year-old dancer from Detroit, Michigan. To the casual viewer, he appeared like any other young man stepping nervously onto the AGT stage, but the truth of his story would leave even the most skeptical audience members speechless. Danny wasn't just a dancer, he was a survivor. Diagnosed with a degenerative bone disease at age 12, doctors told him he would likely spend most of his life in a wheelchair. By 16, his mobility had deteriorated so severely that he relied on crutches and braces just to walk across a room. Yet, against all odds, Danny decided to pursue dance, the very art form that his body seemed determined to deny him. His journey into movement began in hospital corridors, where he would sway to music during painful physical therapy sessions. Nurses recalled how he used rhythm to distract himself from the agony of muscle spasms. By the time he was a teenager, Danny was uploading videos of himself on YouTube, showing how he transformed his crutches into extensions of his body, turning what many saw as a disability into a powerful form of artistic expression. His performances were raw, emotional, and unlike anything anyone had ever seen. He didn't try to imitate able-bodied dancers. Instead, he created an entirely new style that fused breakdance, contemporary movement, and acrobatics with the tools of his condition. Over the years, those videos earned small pockets of admiration online, but Danny remained largely unknown beyond disability advocacy groups. On AGT 2025, that all changed. When he entered the stage, leaning on custom carbon fiber crutches, the audience erupted in supportive applause. Judge Heidi Klum asked him what brought him there, and Danny answered with a calm but powerful voice. "People told me my whole life that I couldn't. Tonight, I want to show the world that I can." The music began, an instrumental remix of Eminem's "Lose Yourself," a fitting nod to Detroit. What followed was nothing short of revolutionary. Danny launched into a routine that defied every expectation of what dance could be. He spun on the floor using his crutches as pivot points, flipped his body into the air with sheer upper body strength, and balanced on one arm while extending his legs into shapes that looked sculpted out of pure willpower.